Artificial intelligence. What do I think about it? Almost every single day, I get a phone call from a service member, or more often than not, their mom, who the client's facing adverse action in the military and they're being asked to respond to writing in something, and they use artificial intelligence to craft either their reprimand rebuttal, their evaluation report rebuttal, their developmental counseling rebuttal, their Board for Correction and Military Records statement, their Discharge Review Board statement, and they're going into ChatGPT and they're using it to write their supplemental statements. Somebody sends it to me, I take a look at it, and they're almost always terrible coming out of artificial intelligence. Why is that? Because AI doesn't always understand the assignment. The AI seems to be pulling from sources that are either government websites, lawyers' web pages, which are fundamentally advertisements. You're not always going to get the best advice straight from some lawyer's website, or they're calling it from case opinions that are online. Now, the problem with that is that the artificial intelligence is going to be really good at identifying procedural errors. Well, here's the deal. The Board for Correction and Military Records and every agency decision that happens underneath that is going to be governed largely by the Administrative Procedure Act, 5 U.S. Code 706. That's a statute that says that the courts can review any agency decision. The Department of Defense, of course, is an agency. And it's going to assign a high level of deference to military decision makers. In other words, the courts don't want to get involved every time there's a personnel decision. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't win your case. It just means that some of the procedural defects that AI is writing about may not carry any weight. They're not going to carry the day. Your number one argument in a rebuttal to a reprimand, an OER, evaluation report, whatever, is always going to be that you didn't do it, right? And AI misses the mark on that oftentimes. Or they don't understand the nuances of due process and procedural violations, right? We're doing a case right now involving an officer that accepted a separation from service short of retirement, and he thought that it was going to be a voluntary early retirement. It wasn't. It wasn't. He missed out. There was a miscalculation of his years of service, and he missed out on his 20-year retirement. It was an irrational decision. And so the question becomes, hey, was the decision to separate from service early a voluntary decision if it was based on incorrect provided information to him? And there's some support out there in the federal case law that says no, it was not a decision made with blinders on is not voluntary as a matter of law. Those types of nuances is just one example of how artificial intelligence misses the mark. So look, if you're thinking about doing a rebuttal to your adverse action that's written by ChatGPT, don't. Give us a call. Let us take a look at it, because AI often doesn't understand the assignment.